If this is you sitting there, phone in hand, staring at a chat that never comes. Maybe it hits closer than you expected, the way her laugh still lingers in your head, even when you swore you were done thinking about it. That little smirk she used to give when you caught her off guard, like she knew something you didn't. You remember it. You can't not. She's scrolling too, probably. Maybe thinking about you. Maybe not. You hate that you hope she is. The apartment is quiet. Too quiet. The hum of the fridge. The tick of the clock. You notice the empty space where she used to sit. The way the light hits the corner of the couch just right in the evening. You never thought a corner could hurt this much. But it does. Every time she's gone. You know that? You felt it when the door closed, when the smell of her shampoo left, when the quiet turned into your thoughts, all of them. The questions you shouldn't ask, the regrets you shouldn't feel. But you do. And she's not just gone, she's reacting, changing. Maybe the text's slow, maybe she looks different. Or maybe she's the same. That part kills you the most. Not knowing if she feels that sting too. You catch yourself replaying moments, tiny ones, stupid ones, a laugh, a glance, a fight that didn't matter until it did. And the truth, you're afraid she might have realized what she lost before you even did. Or worse, maybe she hasn't. You feel it, right? That sharp, quiet ache, that twist in your chest when her name pops up in your feed. You stop, you scroll again, and somewhere deep down, you hope she notices your absence. You hope she remembers. Maybe she's thinking about what it was like when you didn't speak up, when you let things slide, when you let her walk away. Maybe she's thinking regret. Maybe not, and you're left alone with your thoughts. Your own echo in the dark, the weight of what you could have said, the weight of what she could never know. So here's the question that keeps you awake, the one you can't let go. Ask, when a woman like that finally realizes what she lost, will she come back? Or has it already slipped past even her reach? Most guys think they get it. They see a woman crying over a breakup, they see her texting late at night, and they assume she's weak, or confused, or easy to manipulate. That's the first mistake. Here's the thing. A woman who's lost a high value man. She's not fragile, she's in shock. She's wrestling with something she didn't expect to feel. And trust me, that shock looks a lot like chaos from the outside, but inside, it's something else entirely. I remember a friend of mine, Mark. He left a girl who, well, she wasn't easy. She had standards, a spine, presence. He thought he could just move on, and she'd follow the same path. She didn't. Not at first. She didn't call. She didn't chase. And he thought, she doesn't care. But that's not how it works. She was recalibrating. Thinking, feeling, testing herself. Seeing if losing him meant anything. Seeing if she really knew what she had. Most men miss this because we want answers. We want patterns. We want signs we can read and predict. But the female mind, after losing a high-value man, doesn't operate that way. She feels before she acts. She pauses before she decides. And she weighs not just you, but herself, her own life, her own standards. You've got to understand a principle here. Valor's value is quiet. Loss is loud. A man who lives with presence, who doesn't over-explain, who doesn't chase validation, he sets a standard without words. And when he's gone, that absence is felt in ways words can't capture. She might cry. She might retreat. She might push people away. But every action is tied to that unspoken truth. She's measuring the impact of having someone steady in her life, someone who wasn't available to just anyone. Here's another thing most guys overlook. Ours time is the amplifier. As a high-value man leaves, and suddenly the clock moves differently for her. Days feel longer, nights feel heavier, and little memories, the way he laughed, the way he held his word, pop up in the quiet moments. She didn't notice some things at first. Maybe she thought she'd move on. Maybe she thought someone else could replace it. But when reality hits, that's when the mind starts circling like a storm that finally has space to grow. It's messy, and she will be messy. Don't mistake her chaos for weakness. Don't mistake her hesitation for disinterest. She's working through her own inner compass. And here's the truth. You can't shortcut that process. You can't force clarity. You can only be steady. You can only live in your own standard. I remember another time A client of mine, let's call him James. He lost a girl who was sharp, independent, unapologetically herself. He was angry. He wanted answers. He wanted her to react. She didn't. Weeks went by, months. And what happened? She started to see what she really missed. Not because he begged, not because he called, because he held his ground. His life didn't stop. His energy didn't bend. And that quiet, consistent presence, that's what made her reflect. That's what made her feel the loss in a real way. Most men fail because they chase, they panic, they explain too much, they try to provoke a reaction. That's noise. That's distraction. The principle here is simple. Ross, your absence is louder than your presence when you are already high value. Don't ruin it with desperation. Don't dilute the truth with words that don't matter. You'll notice little things. She might reach out. She might not. She might act indifferent. Or she might test. She'll make mistakes, push, pull, hesitate. That's human. That's natural. That's the recalibration. And you just stay steady. You don't have to control her. You don't have to understand every thought she has. You only live the standard you've set. So if you're wondering why she acts strange, why she seems different, why she doesn't chase the way you expected, this is it. She's figuring herself out. She's wrestling with reality. She's processing loss, value, regret, desire all at once. And the stronger, calmer, steadier you are through that storm, the more she feels, not because you pushed, not because you begged, but because you lived. You stayed. You were quietly undeniable. This isn't about manipulation. It's not games. It's about principle. Presence over panic. Value over validation. Calm over chaos. That's the real truth most men miss. And that's what changes everything for her, for you, for the way the story unfolds. The room is quiet. Too quiet. The hum of the heater. The soft scratch of rain against the window. She's sitting on the edge of the bed, knees pulled up, arms wrapped tight. The blanket is heavy, warm, but it doesn't reach far enough. She stares at the wall, blank, but not blank. She's thinking. Too much, too fast. A memory hits. The way he laughed when she messed up her words in the middle of a story. The way he didn't correct her, didn't rush her, just waited. She can feel it like a pulse under her skin. Sharp, throbbing. She hates that she feels it. She hates herself for remembering. Her phone buzzes. She doesn't check it. Maybe she already knows it's not him. Maybe she hopes it is. She hates that too. She hates wanting it, hating it, loving it, loathing it, all at once. She moves to the window, rain dripping down the glass. Little trails that look like they could spell something if she stared long enough. Outside, the world carries on. People with umbrellas. Cars splashing through puddles. Nothing stops. Nothing waits. Nothing understands. She thinks of the way he left. Not harsh, not angry. Just gone. Smooth quiet, like a door closing slowly, leaving a hollow space behind. She remembers the scent of his jacket, the warmth he carried. She wants it back. But she also wants him to hurt a little. Not badly. Just enough to notice what he gave her. A text pops in. Not from him. She stares, reads it, deletes it. Her thumb hovers over the keyboard. She doesn't type. She can't. She can't. Words feel heavy, wrong, useless. Her mind spins. What if he's laughing right now, somewhere, unaware? What if he's okay without the thought of her pressing down on him? That thought punches her chest. Hard. She lies down, face pressed into the pillow. The smell of the sheets reminds her of mornings when he stayed just long enough to leave a trace. A coffee mug, a scarf, a smudge of his cologne. Small things, tiny, but enough to hurt. Enough to make her heart trip. Enough to make her admit she's lost something rare. Her mind loops. She fights it. She tells herself, stop. Don't think. But the loop wins. She recalls arguments that didn't matter. Moments of stubbornness that seemed big at the time. And she whispers to herself, under her breath, I was stupid. I was. Her voice trails off. No one answers. The rain answers instead. Hours pass. She doesn't move. She doesn't eat. She doesn't call. She just sits with it. The empty apartment, the ticking clock, the ache in her chest. And somewhere deep down, she knows something she won't admit. That he's not replaceable. That she can't just fill the space he left with noise or another presence. She knows this. And then, almost imperceptible, a shift. A thought that tastes like guilt and recognition. A flash of understanding. Maybe she made him feel alive in ways she didn't know how to give. Maybe he was rare. Maybe she lost him before she even realized. She breathes. Slowly, a shiver runs down her spine. The rain slows, the heater hums. The room feels a little too big. She touches her arm, feels the pulse, feels the absence, feels herself. The pause before she speaks is long, too long, but she finally whispers, not a call, not a text, just a thought. I wonder if he even knows what he meant. Arze. And that thought lingers, heavier than the silence, heavier than the rain. A quiet truth she can't undo. A quiet truth that waits for him somewhere in a life moving forward, unaware, and maybe, just maybe, longing in a way she's only starting to feel. A lot of guys think they understand what's happening when a high-value woman steps back after a breakup. They assume she's cold, she's distant, she's moving on. That's the first trap. You hear it in the back of your head. She doesn't care. She's over me. But it's not that simple. She's not over you. She's over the version of herself that let someone slip by without fully seeing what they had. I remember my friend, Ravi. He lost a girl who had standards higher than anything he'd known before. At first, he thought ignoring her would make her chase. He thought absence would provoke desire. But what happened? She didn't chase. She paused, she measured, she felt, and he realized she didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. That hit him like a punch to the chest, not her leaving. Him leaving himself behind. Another common belief is that if she's quiet, she's over you. Men treat silence like a verdict. They think it's rejection, finality. It's not. Silence is a mirror. She's staring at the absence, noticing the space you left. She's evaluating what it meant to have a man who held his presence without begging for validation. And you. Most guys can't sit in that silence. They panic. They reach out. They explain. And suddenly, the weight of absence disappears. Respect fades. Presence vanishes. Attention is cheap. Respect is priceless. Then there's the lie we tell ourselves about control. That somehow, if we do X, Y, Z, she'll come back, she'll notice, she'll regret. It's comforting but false. Real influence isn't forcing reactions. Real influence is holding steady, living your standard, being a man who doesn't chase validation, who doesn't overcomplicate absence with words that don't matter. I saw it with a client of mine, let's call him Samir. His girlfriend left for reasons he didn't understand. He tried explaining, pleading, proving himself. Nothing changed. Weeks later, he simply started living his life, holding his energy, speaking with presence. That pause, that steadiness, that's when she started to feel it. That's when reality hit her. You don't lose her, you lose your own presence. Aji. The subtle sabotage is believing that she's the only variable, that her thoughts, her actions, her feelings control the outcome. They don't. She's human, unpredictable, messy, but so are you. And the truth most men miss, how you navigate your own presence, your own energy, your own standards, that's the real game. That's where impact lives. So when you think she's gone, when you feel the quiet, when your mind spins with what if and maybe, pause, feel it. Don't fight it. Don't chase it. See what's really happening. She's not punishing you. She's not testing you. She's recalibrating. And the one thing that matters, the only lever you really hold, is how much of yourself you've kept intact through it. Presence over panic, energy over desperation, respect over attention. That's how men wake up to the truth most never see. That's how a woman notices what she really lost. And that's the thing most guys get wrong before they even understand what happened. This is what he understands. Most men panic when she pulls back. Most men reach, explain, overcomplicate. Most men think that if she's quiet, it's rejection. But he knows better. He knows silence is an absence. It's a mirror. It's reflection. It's a test of how steady you are when the world doesn't respond to your demands. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. He doesn't chase texts. He doesn't hover on her stories. He doesn't try to force an emotion that isn't ready. Instead, he moves through his own life with quiet certainty. He leaves footprints in his own world that she can't ignore, even if she pretends she can. She notices the energy before she notices the words. He understands the subtle power of absence, the way a man's life carries weight when he doesn't over-explain himself, when he shows up steady, consistent, and full. He might be out with friends, focused on his work, living in the small victories. But every action, no matter how ordinary it seems, broadcasts presence. He doesn't have to announce it. She feels it. And in that feeling, she begins to reckon with what she lost. A 1% headman knows patience over panic is stronger than noise. I've seen him in the simplest moments, sitting at a cafe, phone untouched, thinking about a conversation he had days ago with a woman who walked away. Most men would be scrolling, texting, asking, hoping. He sits, drinks his coffee, watches the rain, breathes. He doesn't need her attention to validate his existence. That's what makes him dangerous in the quietest way, steady enough to outlast the chaos of emotion. He also knows clarity is a weapon, not the kind you flash or brandish, the kind you carry inside like armor. He knows what he wants, what he will accept, and what he won't compromise. And he moves in life with that clarity. She senses it. She may fight it, she may resist it, but she cannot escape it. The pull of a man who knows himself is magnetic because it doesn't beg, it doesn't bargain, it just exists. Strength over noise, centeredness over chasing. He's messy. He's human. He feels doubt, irritation, impatience just like anyone else. But he doesn't let those moments define him. He chooses his actions, not reactions. One night, he could feel the pull to reach out, to check in. He doesn't. Instead, he writes in a journal, goes for a run, calls a friend, does something that grounds him. Later, he smiles at a memory, lets it pass without disturbance. That's mastery most men mistake for luck. It's not luck, it's deliberate life. He understands timing is not about forcing events. Timing is about endurance, presence, and letting reality unfold while remaining grounded. She will notice. Not because he forced her to, not because he manipulated a reaction, but because he lived a life of steady authenticity. And authenticity has a way of cutting through ego, defenses, and distraction in ways words never can. The 1% headman also knows the smallest details matter. A text left unsent, a call not made, a glance unnoticed, these tiny choices carry weight, and he chooses them consciously. Not out of fear, not out of hope, out of principle, because he knows that presence is stronger than explanation, and patience is stronger than panic. This is what most men miss. They try to fix what isn't broken. They try to provoke what can't be provoked. They try to chase what doesn't respond to chasing. The 1% headman doesn't do that. He moves through life with steady energy, quiet confidence, and an unshakable center. And in that movement, slow, human, messy, undeniable, she starts to see. She starts to understand. She starts to feel what she really lost. And that ultimately is the difference. Presence over noise, patience over panic, clarity over chaos. That is what makes him rare. That is what makes him unforgettable. He's standing in the kitchen. Morning light slicing across the counter. Coffee steams in his hand. He remembers the nights she stayed up late, waiting for him to answer, for him to notice, for him to care more than he did. He feels it now, that tight pull in his chest. Old habit, old shame, a laugh, her laugh, sharp, teasing, impossible to forget. A memory flashes, him fumbling words, apologizing too much, bending to fit a space that wasn't his. He shakes his head. Enough. The kettle whistles. He doesn't move. He breathes, feels the warmth in his hands, feels the room, the quiet, the life that doesn't hinge on approval, on texts, on her noticing. He whispers it to himself, soft, almost embarrassed, I am enough. And then it lands heavy, like a door slamming shut. He doesn't need her to validate him. He never did. The absence, the longing, the pause between messages, it doesn't make him less. It makes him present. Solid, untouchable in the way he should have always been. He takes a sip of coffee. Cold, bitter grounding. And for the first time in months, he smiles not at her, not at what was lost, but at himself. She remembers. The warmth of his hand, the quiet strength he carried without asking for notice. The way he moved through the world like he belonged to himself first, always. She feels it now, the absence. Sharp, cold, pulling at her chest like a tide she can't fight. Every laugh, every careless word, every pause she thought she could ignore hits differently. He isn't chasing. He isn't explaining. He isn't waiting. And that's the truth she can't escape. Some things can't be replaced. Some men can't be forgotten. He was one of them.